What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation, the best baseball community on YouTube. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Brayan Bello, had these nasty sinkers and sliders, and this absolutely disgusting changeup. You know it's a nasty changeup when it ends up almost behind the hitter. Bello's changeup has drawn comparisons to Pedro Martinez's changeup. He had 5 strikeouts in 5 innings, giving up only 1 run. He was up against Nick Lodolo, who was also nasty, with 7 strikeouts in 5 innings, thanks to his fastballs and these breaking balls, and sword. Opponents are only hitting 149 against Lodolo's breaking ball, with a 44.5% whiff rate. Aaron Ashby had these wicked sliders on his way to 2 strikeouts in 2 innings, coming back from the IL. Austin Voth had this nasty slider. Joey Wentz had this filthy changeup. He gave up no runs in 5 2/3 innings. Patrick Sandoval had this sick array of sliders and changeups and had 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. Michael Grove had 7 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 3 earned runs, but had these hammer breaking balls. Those things are filthy. He was up against Zach Davies, who had these 2-seamers on his way to 3 strikeouts in 3 innings. Tyler Anderson had these dirty changeups, 6 strikeouts in 6 innings. Opponents are only hitting 178 against that changeup with a 36.5% whiff rate. He was up against Dre Jameson, the rookie, who was absolutely electric with 7 strikeouts in 6 innings. Jameson had these wicked sliders, and his fastball touched 98. He's been really impressive over his 2 major league starts, and his ERA is 1.38. J.P. Sears had this changeup and dirty back foot slider with a sword. He had 7 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 1 hit and 1 run. He outdueled Luis Castillo, who had 4 Ks, including one on this nasty slider and his overpowering fastballs. And look at this crazy 97-mile-an-hour front door 2-seamer he threw. Yikes. Aaron Savali had this absolutely gorgeous 78-mile-an-hour curveball. This thing had 67 inches of drop and 3,047 RPMs. Just gorgeous. Opponents are only hitting 128 against Savali's curveball and have a 44.3% whiff rate. It is, in fact, too pretty to hit. He also had this painted 93-mile-an-hour sinker. He was up against Dylan Cease, who had 3 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 earned run, and had this vicious knuckle curve. Pablo Lopez had 6 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings, thanks to his fastball and changeups. Mike Clevenger went 5 2/3 scoreless innings and had this changeup. Zach Greinke had this very nice 69-mile-an-hour curveball. Luis Ortiz showed off his big arm with this 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Another hard-throwing rookie starter to keep an eye on. He had 5 strikeouts and has been really good in his 2 starts with a .84 ERA. He was up against Nestor Cortez, who had 4 strikeouts in 5 innings, including one on this painted cutter. Christian Javier had 6 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 1 hit and no runs. He got a sword on this slider and lowered his ERA this season to 2.77. Yeah, the Astros have a lot of pitching. He outdueled Shane McClanahan, who had 3 strikeouts on his fastball, slider, and curveball, but gave up 5 runs in 4 innings. His ERA rose to 2.36, but in fairness to him, he was probably distracted this outing because he was named my #1 starting pitcher of 25 years old or younger in the major leagues. Here's my list. Let me know your thoughts. Yeah, I probably could have ranked Spencer Strider higher, but as someone who lives in Atlanta, I didn't want to be accused of an Atlanta bias. And yes, George Kirby and Logan Gilbert are on this list, as well as Dustin May. My filthiest starter of the day was Charlie effin' Morton. CFM put on a curveball clinic. He had up to 3,245 RPMs on his curveballs, and some of these were absolutely wipeout pitches. On one of these, I got asked on Twitter, why would you swing at that? Well, Lord Byron 4, you're going to learn today. Here's an overlay of that curveball with Charlie Morton's fastball. And you can see how they look absolutely identical. And then that curveball just keeps on going. You have to decide to swing, and you end up swinging at a pitch way out of the zone. And here's an overlay of Charlie Morton's curveball and changeup. And you can see just how sick that combination is as they go in different directions. Now onto my filthiest relievers. Scott Barlow had these filthy breaking balls and swords. Matt Brash had this slider with 3,154 RPMs. Colin McHugh had this pretty backdoor slider. Kenley Jansen had these wicked cutters. Aroldis Chapman had this White Castle special. Phil Maton had this dirty breaking ball. Ryan Stanek had this overpowering fastball and dirty splitter. Ryan Presley had this vicious 92-mile-an-hour slider. Opponents are whiffing at a 53.3% clip off his slider. Tyler Rogers had this UFO rising slider. That's not very fair. Garrett Stubbs had this amazing 37-mile-an-hour Eephus that was hit foul and then followed up with an 84-mile-an-hour fastball. For the K, that is mean. Position player on position player crime. Look at this overlay. That's a 47-mile-an-hour velo difference. And my favorite part of the overlay is when Real Muto is actually leaving after catching the strike before the Eephus gets there. Look at the difference in drop of these two pitches according to StatCast. That Eephus had 199 inches of drop, and that fastball only 24 inches. Total insanity. I'll give him a tie for filthiest reliever of the day with, cue the trumpets, Edwin Diaz, who absolutely annihilated the side, topping out at 102 miles an hour, which is probably what Stubbs' 84-mile-an-hour fastball felt like after that 37-mile-an-hour Eephus. And now, my pitching ninja moment of zen. To quote Ice Cube, it was a good day. I wouldn't be surprised if Gallo saw the lights of the Goodyear blimp, and well, you guessed the rest. What's up, Ninja Nation? My picks of the day today are three-leg parlay. First, I'm going to do a same-game parlay with Lance Lynn and Tristan McKenzie, both for 6Ks or more. And then I'm going to add in Lance McCullers for 6Ks or more. Yes, this is a 666 parlay. And no, it wasn't inspired by Iron Maiden. It's just the way it ended up. What would your picks of the day be?